I never thought I'd be here, sitting in front of a camera, telling the world this. But here I am, finally ready to share the truth about what happened when my husband forced me to give up my $1 million inheritance. It's something I'm still trying to wrap my head around, how I almost lost everything without even realizing it. But it wasn't until my lawyer stepped in that everything changed. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and tell us where you are listening. Your support means everything. Let me start from the beginning. My name is Claire, and I was raised in a modest working-class family. I didn't grow up with much, but I was always taught the value of hard work. I built a career in marketing and worked my way up, living a comfortable but not extravagant life. But everything changed when my estranged uncle, Michael, passed away unexpectedly. He was wealthy, very wealthy, and had no children of his own. His fortune was well over $1 million, a mixture of property, investments, and cash. I hadn't seen him in years. To be honest, our relationship had always been distant. But when I received the phone call about his passing and the subsequent lawyer's letter, I was floored. I hadn't known I'd been named his sole beneficiary, especially after so many years of no contact. The inheritance was overwhelming, but it was mine, no strings attached. When I told my husband, Ethan, about it, his reaction was less than supportive. "It's crazy, Claire," he said, pacing around the living room. "Why would he leave everything to you? It's not like you were close." "I don't know," I said, feeling a mix of confusion and disbelief. "But it's real. It's a lot of money, and it's all mine." Ethan didn't respond right away. He just stared at me, his face unreadable. I couldn't figure out if he was happy for me or angry. At the time, I assumed it was just the shock of it all. But as the days passed, I started to notice something wasn't right. Ethan had always been the one to handle the finances in our marriage. I trusted him. I always had. But this was different. Suddenly, it seemed like he was making decisions about my inheritance without asking me. When I asked about the bank accounts and investments, he'd brush it off or tell me not to worry. "I'm just taking care of it, Claire," he'd say, his voice tight. "You don't need to be involved in every little detail. It's fine." I thought nothing of it at first. I figured he was just trying to ease my worries. But then, one evening, he brought up something that made my stomach drop. "Listen, Claire," he began, "I've been thinking. The money you've inherited, it would be a lot smarter to put it all into savings and let it grow. We're going to need it for the future." I nodded, not thinking much of it, until he added, "I've already spoken to a financial advisor, and we're going to set up a trust for you. All of it will be managed through me, of course." I froze. "Wait, what? Why does it have to go through you?" Ethan's eyes flickered with frustration, but his voice remained calm. "Because we're married, Claire. You need to trust me with this. I'm doing this for us." His words should have been comforting, but they didn't sit right with me. Something felt off, and it wasn't just my gut instinct. It was everything about how he was taking control without asking me first. I told myself I was being paranoid, but my intuition kept nagging at me. Weeks passed, and every time I tried to take a more active role in the inheritance, asking about the estate, the investments, the properties, I was met with excuses. "Just trust me," he'd say, his tone growing more impatient. "You don't know how these things work." I started to feel like I was slowly losing control over my own future. And that's when the real shock hit. One morning, I received a letter from Ethan's lawyer. At first, I didn't think much of it until I opened it and saw the words, "Redisposition of inherited assets." My heart sank. I skimmed the letter, my hands trembling, and it became clear Ethan had been quietly moving assets from my inheritance into accounts in both of our names. Claiming they were joint assets now, I confronted him immediately, my voice shaking with anger. "What the hell is this, Ethan?" Why did you transfer everything into joint accounts without my permission? His face hardened and he sighed as if he was the one being put out. Claire, I've been trying to protect you. The money, it's too much for you to handle. I'm just making sure we're set for the future. This is for us, not just you. For us? I repeated, disbelief rising in my chest. This was my inheritance, Ethan, not ours. You've been taking control of everything behind my back, and now you're making it seem like I'm being unreasonable. He didn't respond. Instead, he just sat there, his gaze cold, like he wasn't even hearing me. I'm going to get a lawyer, I said, my voice firm. This isn't right. I didn't waste any time. I reached out to a lawyer I'd heard of through a friend, a reputable estate lawyer who specialized in inheritance cases. I explained everything to him, hoping against hope that there was something I could do. When I sat down with him, he looked over the documents Ethan's lawyer had sent and immediately frowned. Claire, this is a serious situation. Ethan has no legal right to do what he's done. He might be your husband, but your inheritance is yours alone. The way he's handled it, the way he's tried to claim it as joint property, that's illegal. I almost cried with relief. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I had someone on my side. He walked me through the steps I'd need to take to reclaim my inheritance and get things back to the way they should have been. But it wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about reclaiming my autonomy and my rights. We sent Ethan's lawyer a letter demanding the return of all transferred funds and assets. And within a matter of days, Ethan was forced to hand everything back. There was no legal fight, no long court battles, just a swift resolution. It turns out Ethan had overstepped in a way he didn't realize, and the law was on my side. The moment Ethan was served with the legal papers, his demeanor shifted. He became defensive, angry, and even tried to gaslight me by claiming I was overreacting. But it was clear I had won. The inheritance was mine once more, and he could no longer control it. We tried to salvage our marriage after that, but everything had changed. The trust was broken. It wasn't just about the money anymore. It was about the fact that Ethan had tried to take something so personal and turn it into something he could control. It was about him choosing his own interests over our marriage and my well-being. A few months later, I made the decision to leave. I realized that no amount of money or manipulation was worth losing my sense of self. I was capable of handling things on my own, and I wasn't going to let anyone take that from me. In the end, I sold the properties, invested the money wisely, and lived a life I could be proud of on my own terms. And every time I look at my bank balance now, I'm reminded of how I stood up for myself. It wasn't about the money, it was about reclaiming my power. A few years later, I ran into Ethan at a mutual friend's wedding. He was with someone else now, a woman who seemed to be just as controlling as he had been. I couldn't help but notice how different he looked older, worn down by life, probably because his manipulation had caught up to him. He approached me, and for a moment, I could see the regret in his eyes. "I've made a lot of mistakes, Claire," he said, his voice quiet. "I should have trusted you." I just nodded, smiling a little, knowing that I was finally free. I didn't need his apology or validation. I had my own life to live now, and as I walked away, I couldn't help but feel a sense of peace, like I'd finally reclaimed what was mine. Not just financially, but emotionally. I had won.